Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efene. Great Malabai.
Good morning, Ruben.
Colleague just left that seat.
Yes. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufa.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, we start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story. 2 months after Tinubu sends 28 ministerial nominees to Senate, ex-governors, federal lawmakers dominate lists. Umahi, Badaru, Wike, El-Rufai, 6 women on board. Gbajabiamila, why portfolios are not attached to names, reveals 13 more names to be forwarded to legislature. Soon, PDP reacts to ex-governor Wike's ex-Rivers governor's selection, says list not fantastic. Sani, president embraced serpents, rewarded vultures. Well, some hard words there, but of course, after the long waits, yes, it was almost taking forever because on the eve of the deadline, the president submitted a list, not the full list, 28 lists, taking, of course, that it was delivered, hand-delivered by Femi Gbajabiamila, the chief of staff to the president. You want to say Femi Gbajabiamila has a hand, figuratively and otherwise, in this matter. And, of course, the place of women, very conspicuous, 25%, 7 out of 28. And we hope by the time the remaining 13 names appear, we'll be talking about 35% affirmative action. And I know Ayo is looking forward to that. Campaigning for women, and rightly so, Ayo. I'm not criticizing you. You are doing the right thing. Of course, the names there, 4 governors, 4 past governors in that list. And you will say, without prejudice to what they have done in the past, whether for good or for the ugly, these 4 former governors literally walked their way into that list. Of course, Nasir El-Rufai, former Governor Badaru, northern governors who threw their weight behind aspirant Bola Ahmed Tinubu when it mattered most. And of course, we cannot forget how they came out, threw their weight behind him, and what would have been an epic contest became a walkover at the APC convention. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged with the ticket. And of course, Nyesom Wike, governor of Rivers State, walked against his own party. He said it, he did it. And of course, it was to the advantage of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And ever since, his friends have been taking him to Aso Rock to get some compensation. He has since changed his cap from the Bola hat to the Yoruba cap. And today, he has been duly compensated. Of course, David Umahi, who has been elected to a senator, made the deputy majority leader. Now he has been nominated as a minister. Ruben, you are advising him to stay put. You think he has no hand in what has happened? He's been a senator, he's there in his CV. He's been a majority leader, he's already there in his CV. He's going to be a minister. Of course, how he got into that list, you would expect that when the likes of Rochas Okorocha, the usual face of APC in the southeast, seem to go into irrelevance, as it were, after being governor, Umahi emerged, and Ebonyi State became the headquarters of APC. You know how many times President Muhammadu Buhari visited that state. Of course, at that time, Hope Uzodinma was still trying to find his bearing with the tag of Supreme Court governor hovering over his head. Well, you say he has found his bearing now. That is the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum. So, but others on the list, Wale Edun expected, but he is representing Ogun State. Yes, the story then, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu visited Obas in Ogun State, one of the reasons was to tell them that your representative will be, in my cabinet will be Olawale Edun, long-time associate of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but the place of Lagos is yet to be filled in that cabinet. So Lagos will be among the 13 names that will be coming later. What is happening? Of course, a lot of jostling here and there. According to a report by the Daily Trust newspaper, yes, the Daily Trust, why Tinubu delayed Kano, Lagos, 9 other states. Lagos being considered for ministerial appointments, according to that report. Babatunde Fashola, Akiwumi Ambode, and of course, Senator Abiru, all being considered. Well, the intrigues there, you can imagine if the president, sometimes described by some as the owner of Lagos, cannot make his first pick, cannot pick Lagos in the first 28, then it means the situation there looks tight in a way. And of course, Kanu, the case of Kanu, the president, according to the report, is considering Ganduje, who has also been tipped to become the next chairman of the APC. And of course, you remember the post-election romance of Rabiu Kwankwanso, the presidential candidate of the NPP, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What is coming out of that? Well, still looking at all the permutations, but Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants a strong character to be there in the event of a runoff. And you know what Kanu means to the election, as it were. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, I will just look at the story below the photograph. Subsidy, federal government wants NLC over planned strike, declares action, contempt of court. Of course, the federal government had this injunction barring the NLC from their initial strike. But now, after many meetings between the government and labor, and the palliatives are yet to be rolled out, labor has fixed next week for protest. We'll see how that pans out. Now, the story also there in the front page of the Daily Sun. Nigerian Guild of Editors institutes annual memorial lecture in honor of Jakonde, Lateef Jakonde, journalist, politician, administrator. Yes, the Baba Kekere who made his mark in Lagos State as governor. He was an action governor, and his footprints, his fingerprints are still all over Lagos. Now, we'll look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper. Summer travel and inflation. Overpriced airfares, 795 naira to the dollar exchange rate for close holiday trips for average Nigerians. Well, if we talk of holiday trips, if there's one thing you can't conveniently say without challenge, holiday trips, not for the poor, but those things that are for the poor, cheap food, should be made available, and that is why Nigerians are still crying. Where are the palliatives to make life more bearable in the face of the removal of fuel subsidy and harmonization of the exchange rate windows? Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, coup, aircraft conveying Nigerian pilgrims trapped in Niger Republic, Max Air. Coup supporters set fire on ruling party headquarters. Now we look at the foreign newspapers quickly. Yes, the Guardian newspaper, the Guardian of UK. Era of global boiling has arrived, and it is terrifying, says UN chief Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, making that, of course, with heat wave, temperatures going over 40 degrees Celsius in many parts of Europe. Of course, you can't put it in a better way. Global boiling. We've gone from global warming to global boiling. Now, the Daily Mail newspaper, Harris hacking claim thrown out by court. Prince Harry's evidence was ruled implausible as his phone hacking claim against the Sun Group was thrown out yesterday. Of course, the High Court judge, Mr. Justice Fancourt, said his evidence there was lack of credibility about his claim, and of course dismissed as improbable Harris' story that Buckingham Palace had struck a secret deal behind his back. He signed 2 statements, according to the judge, 2 truth statements that are inconsistent with evidence. Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
2 things, just to stress 2 things. The statement by the UN Secretary General that, look, we are entering an era of movement from global warming to global boiling. And this is in reference to what is happening in Southern Europe, where temperatures have gone up so high, and you have wildfires from Sicily to Corfu in Greece. And I think that should be a wake-up call for leaders. Although Sir Tony Blair was saying yesterday that, look, don't blame, it's not only the British that should carry the burden for net zero, policy with regard to climate change, that it should be the whole world. And quickly, this list, ministerial list by President Tinubu, where we've identified the young people that are there, we have identified the women, we have identified the politicians, we've identified the technocrats. To ensure proper inclusion, President Tinubu will need to include in his list of 13, maybe 1 individual living with disability. Sure. That then will give us a true impression of inclusiveness. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Efeni.
Thank you very much.